I know what's on your mind. You're wondering with what's happening in the real estate market and how it's all going to go down. Well, stick around. I got to talk with Glenn McQueenie, the founder of our company, and stay tuned. I'm really excited to bring you today Glenn McQueenie, the founder of our company, seasoned, experienced real estate investor and owner and agent for almost 30 years, right?
Yeah, I'm a really big deal.
He is. Let's talk today about the market. It's crazy. And a lot of people are saying that the bubble's going to burst, and what's your thoughts on it?
You know, I think eventually they're going to be right. If they keep saying the bubble's going to burst, I think it's just almost like the perfect storm right now, where you have kind of record low interest rates, you have limited supply of developable land, you have baby boomer generation, the millennials coming in behind it, creating more demand. We have more immigration coming to Toronto than we ever have. I think it's just the perfect storm right now, Ken, and I don't know how it's going to end, but it's going to end at some point. My biggest concern really right now is I just have this almost spidey sense that the provincial, federal government, or even the municipal government is going to do some extra measures right now to kind of somehow interfere, slow down the market, because when you have all these, first of all, we got record prices, right? I mean, prices were up 22-24% last year. I think, I don't even think this has gone to the press yet, but I probably argue, Ken, we're probably up 15 to 20% just since December.
Probably, yeah. I was in a bidding war the other night. It was crazy. Last night we had 9 offers on our listing, which is insane.
And it's just,
And it was priced right, so it's weird. So
it's so crazy because we don't even know what value is, right? And especially when we were trying to advise our clients, we're like, I don't know. People say, well, I'm sure you must know what it's worth. Like, yeah, no idea. So I don't know really what's going to happen, but my big fear right now, and I just have this sense, is that the government's going to interfere somehow. And I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be from maybe changing the capital gains tax rules. Maybe your principal residence is no longer capital gain exempt. I hope that doesn't happen. Or maybe they'll cap the amount, or, they've got a bunch of tools. Maybe one is some type of speculation tax, foreign tax. Although, my experience has been that, it's a lot of, I would call landed immigrants who are buying Toronto property. I don't really see, I guess bus loads coming from directly from the airport and people doing it. I see that it's a lot of people who are just kind of like trying to build their portfolio in a relatively safe environment.
Definitely not the majority, but that is happening. I'm meeting somebody on Thursday for that, so I mean it is happening, but that's not the majority. It's the locals trying to buy in, I think, and people trading up, and in my experience, right? So.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole wealth effect too, right? Yeah. I know many people have bought in, probably even if you bought 10 years ago, your house is probably worth 3 times what you paid. Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 2, depending on where you live. Yeah. But, so people go, wow, look at me, I'm a millionaire, like I've got all this money. And then they start looking at the market and kind of going, well, if I'm going to move, where do I go, And I think the real thing about this market, to me, is the challenge, I think, is that we're just almost, the market's what's the word I'm trying to use here? It's a lot of our clients who actually want to move, a lot of your clients who want to move, they haven't found the place yet. Yeah. And because they haven't found the place yet, they don't want to put their place on the market. And so we've really gone through 2 months of probably the shortest inventory I've ever seen on the Toronto market. But the good news, though, and I think I don't want to be like Mr. Downer here. I think the good news is that the worst is behind us. I think right after, we're in the middle of March break right now. I think right after March break, you're going to see increased levels of inventory.
Absolutely.
And I think right after Easter, you're going to see another big push for more inventory. And I think in May, you're going to see more inventory coming out. And if you really look at the graph of the Toronto market, it almost looks like it's like a double-humped camel. It's kind of like if this is January, and this would be May, June, the inventory peaks, and then it drops down into June, July, August, comes back up again, September, October, November. Happens every year. So, I think it's better days right now, and I sure hope, just for everyone's sake, that we get a lot more inventory on the market.
Yeah. So if you think enough people complain, you always say this all the time, if enough people complain, the government will probably do something about it. And, if they introduce some measures like they did in Vancouver with the, foreign buyers tax and all that, it might affect our market now.
It could, I think we don't know. I think the big mystery is what the federal government's going to do, because they're more on the taxation side, on the capital gains, or and it's really curious how last year on your tax return you had to start declaring the sale of your personal residence on your tax return. I always thought that was curious, and now I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe that was the setup for them to track it, so now they can maybe start taxing it. The other tools they have is the City of Toronto. I think they could try to come in with more land transfer tax, which is just a tax on nothing for nothing. Or the Liberal government could come in provincially and do some type of measures. Maybe they tax you, and then they're going to take all that money and they're going to build more affordable housing. I don't know. I know it's an election year. And it's interesting. I wrote an article for a national publication last year, and I said in it that in BC it was an election year and something was going to happen, and guess what? It happened, and they brought out that tax. So I think it's maybe one of those times where you kind of maybe sit and wait, but I think there's different strategies for, there's no one strategy, and no one knows when the market's going to crash or go up or down. I don't care what they say. But I think it really depends on your customers talking to you and kind of going well, what's my unique problem? Because you're so successful, you've got so many really great raving fans, happy clients, that I know you can probably solve it. The one big thing I would tell most of your customers right now is this is the time that if you're empty nesters and you're thinking about maybe, should I cash out now? I'm not sure where the market's going to be. I think there's a great argument right now for doing what they call a sale leaseback, where they can, I know you told me all about this, but where they can basically sell their house today and stay on as a tenant for a couple of years. And that way they can really kind of get their wealth today, put it away in a bank or somewhere, and then just stay on as a tenant. I thought this would be something that a lot of 70 and 80 and 90-year-old people would be doing, but I've been quite pleasantly surprised that so many 45, 50, 55, 6-year-old people who are kind of going, you know what, the market's been going up for 18 years. It's a real estate cycle. Things change. So, I think it's going to be interesting, but I don't think it's a time to be fearful, even though this video probably made more people scared.
You wrote a great article about fear, not having fear in this market. I mean, it's a cycle. There's strategies for both ways.
Well, I think fear's healthy, first of all. The only reason we're still alive today is because one of our relatives wasn't eaten by a lion, tiger, or leopard, right? So you need to know, there's a cat, run away, or you're going to die. So we've already got that gene. And a little bit of fear is actually quite helpful because you can make good decisions with a little bit of fear. But when people go into anxiety, panic, or overwhelming, just say panic again, they make the worst decisions. I'm sure there's times in both of our lives when we panicked, made a decision, and went, oh my God, I wish to regret it. And so I think our job is to help our buyers and sellers and go, listen, this isn't a panic situation. This is just, here's some perspective, so that when it comes time for you to make that right decision, you make the right decision, and you don't feel like you're pressured, hassled, or living in fear.
Yeah, and really, here's the climate, really, and you got to make do with it based on the situation you're in. Do you think it's a good time to buy, sell, hold? Unfortunately, there was a technical difficulty for the rest of that video, so I'll just have to transcribe what happened. I asked him, is it a good time to buy or sell? And he said that, it really is personal, it's true, but he knows that generations of wealth came from long-term buy and hold. A lot of people think it's a short-term thing, and it is a cycle. It will go up and down, but if you hold for the long term, it should be good. And every situation is different. So if you're looking to sell, it's the perfect time right now. There's never been a better time. But if you're a first-time home buyer, it might be a little bit difficult. Then he suggests getting together with some buddies, a couple of your friends, maybe buy a duplex, triplex, a fourplex, rent out some rooms and make a commitment to each other, live there for at least 5 years, and then after that you can decide if you want to sell, buy each other out, and at least you'll be able to ride the market that way. And he really said it's just a personal situation, and all we can do is give you some options, and you can make the best decision at that time for what you want to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this talk, and if you have any tips, comments, questions, or any other suggestions on what you want to hear, please reach out to me or click the link below.